Ja, så sidder vi simpelthen her over hos Arrowhead Studios, og vi er så heldige at have både... what are your titles? Game producer, game director, and game...
Production director.
Yeah, okay. So let me start off with a weird question, okay? Not game related at all. So we're from Denmark, and in the movie industry, we have a lot of collaborations with the Swede. And when I see a Swedish actor in a Danish movie, there's no subtitles. There's an understanding that a Dane understands every word from a Swede. Are there subtitles on people from Denmark?
Yes, there are. I saw the TV series Broen.
Yeah, great TV show.
Yeah, great TV show. Yeah. Yes, there was subtitles. Yeah, and also to be fair, I did need them. Sorry, sorry, but yeah, so there are. I didn't know this about Denmark.
Yeah, that's a challenge sometimes. Yeah. It's a pleasure being here. I have been looking quite forward to this game for a number of reasons. This is the first big game as a service game from PlayStation, and not only that, but it's also the first game from PlayStation that's launching on console and PC at the same time. So I think there's a lot of eyes on this game. How are you feeling right now? When we're recording this, there's a week to launch. Are you nervous? Are you nervous?
Oh, pretty good, actually. It's the last sprint, basically. We have still things to figure out, but
plenty of time to fix it.
Yeah, and that's the goal of the game as a service as well.
Yeah.
Any issues, any things that the player wants, will be able to answer them. So that's really the philosophy that we have right now.
Yeah.
Most of the things are there and controlled, and we're pretty chill, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, as a game dev, I can say that I'm probably more nervous about this interview than the game. It feels really good, to be honest. Just getting the game out there, and we've been working on this for a long time, and being here now with the game launch being literally just around the corner feels unreal, and we're just all so excited to see the players get their hands on this, to see what they're going to be doing with the game, to see how they will be playing the game. I can't wait, and I hope everything goes well, and I think everything will go well as well.
I think as well. So we have played the game today a couple of times, me and Jørgen Bjørn, and it's way more fun than I thought. I really think it's fun. Yeah,
great. I've heard that.
Yeah. And the chaos in the game, you can't stop laughing when some crazy stuff just happens. Yeah. There's a lot of satire surrounding the story of the game. I think the narrative of the universe is extremely funny. The thing about democracy, which means war, and everybody is trying to give democracy to the rest of the universe is fun. It's like what's Corsto in
Crusade?
Crusade, yeah. It's like the old Crusades. I think that's quite fun. How does that satire go into the gameplay?
I mean, in many aspects, I think the satire comes into we done a lot of work on the voiceover, for example. A lot of recordings with many talented actors that could
for democracy.
Exactly. I had so many fun memories of attending the recordings. Even the first introduction video that you have, we brought the actor to do motion capture, and that was such good memories.
Yeah.
So there's that. There's also as you said, the chaotic aspect.
Yeah.
That game is heavily reliant on procedural generation. So there's so many aspects of the game that you can't really predict.
No.
They're here, and you're gonna have to deal with it. You're gonna blow up your friends for no reason. They're gonna just fly in the air, and you're like, sorry.
And there's a stress factor as well, right?
Yeah.
So when you have to do these like commands to get like a Gatling gun or orbital strike, and you try to do it while you see a wave of aliens just going straight to you. It's crazy fun. It's crazy fun.
Exactly. It's like a lot of the design philosophies that in Helldivers you just do what you just said. You do fairly simple things like inputting a code. That's not itself very difficult to do, but you do it in very, very stressful situations, which make it very fun, right? So leaning into this this chaos and that comes from the procedural generation, for example, but just the emergent sort of gameplay nature.
Yeah.
Leaning into that chaos is that's one of the things that we're really focusing on with this game, and we think that that's what gives these very fun moments. But you also asked about like the satire and how that comes across. I mean, it's in many places in the gameplay. For example, when you die and you reinforce on the ship, you come out from a cryo chamber, so you've just been frozen as a Helldiver. Yeah. And there's a lot of places like that in the game where no one really reacts to that. That's just part of what it is. You get unfrozen, you're sent down to a mission, and if you die, no one really cares.
It's so fun. Your CEO, when we were at the presentation, he said that. They're just ordinary humans. Yeah. They're dressed like superheroes, and they're told they're superheroes. Yeah. But and they wear a cape and all that stuff, but they just die, and that's really, really fun.
Yeah. In most games, you often talk about the 3 C's. You know the 3 C's by heart.
Yeah. I don't know that. What's that?
Character, camera, and.
You don't know shit.
Control. In Helldivers, we have the 4 C's, we usually say. Okay. So we have the character,
character, control, camera, and cape.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, so you're dressed as a superhero. You're running around with a cape, and it's totally in the universe.
Okay. So, I'm judging a little now. Yeah. You seem like you're a little young. Oh. You probably weren't working on the first game, the first Helldiver. But did you play it? Because I played it on my PlayStation Vita, the best handheld console in the world. Yes. I really enjoyed that game. But this is, in many ways, yes, it's the same universe, but it's a different game, and it's a totally other scale, right? So, what are your experiences with the first game, and what has been the thought process of this one?
First off, let me just say, I'm happy that you grouped me and Alex together in the same sentence when you said we look young, because I am, I think, almost at least 8 years older than this guy.
Are you?
Oh my God. Thank you about that.
How old are you?
I'm 34.
Oh, so, what the fuck? Oh, shit.
I'll show this to my girlfriend later.
What cream do you use?
Okay.
Oh, anyway. Your skin is so...
Yeah, but let's see if I can remember the question. But on Helldivers 1, I would just like to say, so a lot of what made Helldivers 1 great is things that we want to add into this game as well. Helldivers 1 and Helldivers 2 and all the games in Arrowhead's game portfolio often rely on like the core pillars that we think is important. Yeah. One of those pillars is, of course, the co-op, like playing together with friends in chaotic, emergent situations. That was a big part of Helldivers 1, and that's also a big part of Helldivers 2. Another one is just believable gameplay. For example, Arrowhead games are one thing that's pretty that we're known for is friendly fire, right?
Yeah. And he shot me, that asshole.
Yeah. I also called in orbital strike just to harm you.
What the hell, Jørgen?
And really, I would like to say that it's not like friendly fire is the thing in our games. Like, we want you to be able to kill each other. It's just that our underlying, like the core game philosophy that we have is that it should feel believable. Yeah. And we just think that if you were to shoot a friend in the face, we just ask ourselves, like, okay, what would happen? Well, that would not be good for your friend, right? And then we design the games around that, right? So in Helldivers 1 and Helldivers 2, for example, we don't have health bars on enemies that are visible. So like now there's a boss with a really big health bar, because it goes a little bit against the design philosophy. So for example, if you do encounter a really big enemy in Helldivers 2, and you drop a nuke on that enemy, it just makes sense that an enemy would die, right? So that's just one of the design constraints that we've put on ourselves, right? So this, like, really emphasizing the believability of the gameplay, which also is the core of many of our like quite advanced game mechanics in the game. So we just think that that's very important, and we think you can make really fun games with that, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so focusing, because you were asking about Helldivers 1, the same underlying game philosophy and the mechanics that built that game is what we've used as well for Helldivers 2. And we think that players who did play Helldivers 1 and players who played the previous Arrowhead games will definitely recognize a lot of that, the design thinking in Helldivers 2 as well.
Your studio has grown quite a bit since the first Helldivers. Your CEO told me that game was made by like 15 people. Just to make context, that's the same studio size like in Denmark that made Limbo, right?
Yeah.
So that's a small studio.
Yeah.
And now you're like, what, 130?
Around 100,
yeah.
Around 100, yes.
Yeah, around 100. How has it been making a game in this scale? That's quite a jump. And it's a very ambitious game at the same time.
Yeah, I think it's almost like the same philosophy as we make games, like being very co-op driven.
Yeah.
It's a lot of adaptation, building teams around that, and being able to convey the vision was the most important.
Yeah.
How can we bring people on board with that philosophy, like the player, believability, the co-op, and all that? Has been very important, and we've spent a lot of time into bringing the devs around that and around features that we thought were very important. The stratagems, how we adapt them in a 3D environment, in third-person shooter. Yeah, there's been that mostly. It's but yeah.
And your game has been delayed because of the coronavirus and stuff. What has that delay given you? Has that delay given you time to reevaluate some of your decisions with the game? It must have strengthened the development in some ways, right?
I mean,
what have you learned, man?
Oh God, that's a big question. It's a good question, but it's very big. What I would say is that we've known what we wanted to do with this game for a long time, right? And so we've stayed true to that vision all this time. But then, of course, I think that we've just kept building the game into a better game, even with the little bit unfortunate delays that happened with COVID, as you say, that affected a lot of studios, and there was a lot of like getting used to working remotely.
Yeah.
But I think that we have kept building the game to be a stronger game. And also, I would like to say that this is our plans for the future as well. You know, as it's a live service game, we intend to keep building this game. But now it's going to be together with the fans.
Do
right?
Arrowhead just want to make Helldivers for the rest of their lives, or do they start? Are you planning on making new games now, and have this on the other side?
But what I can say is that we intend to support Helldivers 2 for as long as possible, and we're really looking forward to doing that together with the community.
Yeah.
And for the rest of our lives. That's a long time, but the intention is that yes, we want to keep building this game because we really believe in this game, and I think that's going to be super fun. And to be able to do that with the community, to like getting real-time feedback from the community on stuff that we're going to add, I think that's just going to be a dream.
And that must be somewhat scary, right? That when this game launches, you will start getting feedback after feedback, and some of that feedback will shape the game. I've played Destiny a lot, right? I'm a Destiny junkie. I'm out now.
Yeah.
I'm out. I'm clean.
I'm clean.
Yeah. but that game, when that launched, and the game it is now, that is two separate things.
Yeah.
And that's the community that has shaped that game.
Of course.
Well,
Isn't that the most exciting thing?
Yes.
It's that's why I love making games like that in a live service mindset, because you get into that and you're not siloed into thinking what will the player think about it. You just have it raw directly, and that's our job, to just address like what is core to our beliefs and values, and then iterate, and then give the players what they think should be good, and staying true to our vision.
Yeah,
so
because
cool.
you have made like the ground pillars of the game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and now you can put all the cherries on top and stuff like that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Can I ask something?
Yeah.
So you mentioned procedural generation, right? So I've played a lot of Deep Rock Galactic, and one thing that I'm really impressed by in that game is that everything still feels curated, like it's a human doing the levels and stuff like that. How do you do that? How do you use procedural generation and still make it feel like people really curated this level?
You know better than I do.
Yeah, I could get into the technical details about how that's
I would love
set
to.
up. You would love to?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess I would start by saying that it's actually really challenging, to be honest, because you, as you say, you want to get to that feeling of like it looks and feels curated, so it doesn't feel procedurally generated. Because if it feels procedurally generated, well, I wouldn't say that, but like if it feels cheap, you might think as a player that this is because of procedure generation. In my opinion, that's not the case. It's just that then you haven't set it up properly. But it's a super difficult thing to do, and I wouldn't judge anyone for for struggling a lot with that, because we've also, of course, in the long development time that we've had, we've experimented a lot to try to figure out what the best solution is. But I guess if I just go into the technical details a little bit about how that works, pretty much it's about, you make puzzle pieces, right? And the puzzle pieces themselves can vary in different ways. And if you can vary the puzzle pieces in many different ways, like in enough ways, then after a while it would become, like you won't be able to recognize puzzle pieces. And then you have these puzzle pieces and they are in different sizes and they are combined in different ways, right? So you have the many different combinations of the puzzle pieces and you have the different variations of each puzzle pieces, I would say. And then you also have the surrounding worlds that also needs to be procedure generated. But for each of these steps, there's different things that go into creating this. So that's a little bit, I try to explain it in not too technical of a way, but what I can say is that we've gone down that rabbit hole so many times and tried everything that we can. But what I really think is that we've arrived at a place that I think is really fun and nice. And you played the game. Yeah. I don't know what you thought, but I hope you thought that it felt believable and that
it did. Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, I'm happy to hear that.
How many maps are there? Because there are planets, right? And we just saw. It seems like there's quite a lot of planets.
Yeah, we have. How many biomes we have so far?
I'm like 99% sure of the answer, but I would like to just get back to you on that. But it's more, let's say, more than 10 like unique biomes. So that would mean, for example, a desert planet is what we call a biome. And then if you have like an Arctic planet or you have a primordial planet, it's also a different biome. But then there's different combinations of that, and we also vary the different biomes as well. So even though you can play on a biome that you've played on previously on another planet, it can look and feel very different anyway, because we redo so many things to make it really feel unique and capture the personality of that planet that you're on, right?
To answer your question, like on the maps themselves, we can't really say because they always be generated, and then you can have many possibilities. They always look a little bit different, and that's also the charm of getting in a mission, not knowing what you're gonna have, like on the objectives, on the missions, on the layout, and you have to adapt with your friends or random people, like your crew, to be able to nail down the missions, and that's pretty good.
I think, and I told Jørgen Bjørn this. I think you've made one genius decision. Probably more, right? Wow. But there's so keeping players engaged. That's always the trick, right? And as a Destiny player, I know that the community and the pyramid scheme that it is, trying to lure your friends into come back, you have to come play. I think Bungie has done that tremendously. They have all these community events and they have raids, right? And when the first raid group complete the raid, they unlock stuff for the rest of the game, for the rest of the community. You have something similar. You have, your CEO told us in the presentation that you have these milestones, right? And when the community collectively solve this milestone, they unlock new stuff for the whole community.
Yeah.
I think that is genius.
Yeah.
That is a way to engage your community. Can you talk about yourself?
Do you want to talk about the Game Master, or?
Yeah, I can take that. So,
Sorry, just got 5 minutes left.
okay. What I can say is that so this is a live service game, right? So of course this means that we will keep building this game, and over time. And there's a narrative there. So even though it's not a linear game, right? It's not a linear game experience, but there is still an unfolding narrative that takes place and that we have planned. Although that the narrative can also a little bit change, but it will take place over time. And as you say, the community has to do things together as a community to reach the next step of the narrative progression.
Yeah.
Not with all narrative progression, but with specific key moments. This is what we're planning, right? So this can be instead. I think the philosophy here is to have the players really participate in the narrative development instead of just having that sort of happening to them, right, or around them. And that's just so fun, and it's so fun to think that the entire community has to do community quests, right? Because it's a what's it called now? It's an MMO, right?
Yeah.
It's an MMO PvE game is what I want to say. So really, it's the community against the alien terrorists, as we call them, that threaten democracy. Anyway, so it's exactly as you say, and we also have the Game Master here functionality. The Game Master. I don't know if our CEO told you about that, but the Game Master functionality is just that it's like the system that we use to interact in real time with the players. So we have a system, and we have real people working here at Arrowhead who monitor what the community is doing, who see where they're playing, etc., and they react to what the community is doing. So with the Game Master functionality, we can trigger events, we can change the game in various ways to provide unique experiences that are tied to what the community is doing, and that's also how we trigger these story developments.
And so you have to keep content, making content for the game, and so on. And I'm sure you can't talk about what you have planned, but when does the planning for the post content start? Because there have to be content drops regularly to keep players engaged, right?
It's already started. So do you want to take that one?
Yeah, definitely. We have a lot of things planned and prepared, and the teams are already working hard on what we're going to do next. So that's basically that. We want to delight the players. That's our community. The Game Master is going to look closely at what they're doing, but we also have a lot of surprises coming in for later. Can't say too much, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think what we can say just on the topic is a little bit about our live service strategy, and you said add content. Of course, content is part of it, but we're thinking about it as adding value to the game.
Yeah.
So and value
That's
can come.
Great marketing speech.
but I just say that because content could be they just keep adding skins or whatever, right? So but our marketing strategy is around adding value, and also it's very important that when we do add things to the game, let's say, we never want to separate our player space. So there will never be anything that you can buy, for example, later in the future that will then separate you from the other players.
Yeah.
That will never be the case. So you should always be able to play with everyone who's if you, let's say 2 years into the future, you only buy the base game and you don't engage with anything that's monetized at that point, you will still be able to play with everyone. This is very important to us. And you will still be able to take part of all the different co-op things that we have. We have weapons that require more than one people to use, etc. All of that stuff you will be able to engage with. So that's just a very important thing to say. And the things that we have planned that we're going to update the game with in the future, for everything that has to do with missions and enemies and planets and all of that stuff will always be free for everyone who's bought the base game. This is our ambition. So we want to keep building the game not only for the people who then later down the line engage with the monetization. For us, it's very important that we want to keep building it for everyone, right? Who just bought the base game.
Why isn't there classes in the game? So, like, why isn't it like in Battlefield and Call of Duty and stuff, you play like a type, or in Destiny for that instance.
Yeah.
Why isn't there classes in this game? And it has to be a short answer because I see her eyes.
I mean, take it.
Yeah, definitely. That was a real conscious decision of having player agency. You can define a class if you want, because you have so many stratagems, so many different weapons that you can use in different ways. And I think it's way more charming to just jump with your friends, strategize around what you're gonna do for each type of missions, because you have the mission brief, and you can just go in and say, okay, I know there's gonna be that crazy Bile Titan. I don't know if you went there and fight the Bile Titan, but you have to strategize around that. I have my the release manager Max is a fan of putting mines everywhere, and when we started playing together, he kept putting them in my way. Yeah. And I love being close combat. So that's where the classes are not as fun as what we try to do there.
Yeah.
Just make your own class.
Yeah.
I can build on that just very quickly if there's time. Oh, so we do I also wanted to reiterate a little bit of what you said and add some more. So we do have like a bunch of different stratagems. I assume that you tried at least one or two of them.
Yes.
Yeah, and this is also everyone who played Helldivers I knows that as well, like that whole entire system. And the stratagems, they really allow you to play in many different kinds of ways. So it's like when you're choosing, you don't choose a class necessarily, but you do choose your loadout. So you do choose like what type of play style do you want, and this depends on what stratagems you have unlocked and like which you want to play with, and what your weapons are, etc. And then there's also different armors with different passives. So we opted more for that than to specifically choose a class. So you can just experiment with whatever you want. So you pretty much you choose your fantasy, like what do you want to play as, and then in the future when we keep building the game, we will keep adding these different kinds of fantasies that you can then explore, right, and play with. Yeah. So that's how we think about it.
What is your name? Can I please have one more question?
Really short. Please don't put me in that.
She's in! Okay, so it's about the humor, right? Or the culture, the Swedish culture. So we've talked a lot about the Danish developers in Denmark, about how is the Danish culture represented in Limbo, Inside, or Cocoon from last year, or the Hitman series. We talked to Housemarque in Finland and Remedy. About how they put the Finnish culture in their games. How is the Swedish culture in Helldivers II?
God,
I would love to hijack that question and say, how's the French culture? I think
your CEO had a very good answer.
He did?
Yeah.
Oh
God.
No, I want to hear yours first.
This was the most difficult question so far. Okay, what's the Swedish culture? So, I mean, we do make fun a little bit of the, I don't know what to say. I'm going to say something that will get me in trouble.
I was about to say, was it French culture? Is it losing wars? Or something?
Oh my God. No, but I think the story, the history of the studio gives a hint. Like Johan, the CEO, his humor transpire, and it's a very Swedish humor. Sometimes it's a little bit deadpan, sometimes it's a little bit like facetious, and that's really where the game shines so much. It's like like putting the finger where it's like, do you remember that satire that we have around like democracy and fascism and all that? So I think you're
very close. You're very close. Do you want to say it, what he said?
Where he told us that you have a lot of self-deprecating humor in the
exactly,
which is very Swedish.
Yeah.
It's
and Johan also, it makes me laugh a lot. So I would say that when I started here and I got to know him, and then I played the game, then I sort of okay, now I get it, because everything is just like his vision. A lot of it is just like his humor, I noticed. So it's so funny. But that's very true. We do have a lot of self-deprecating humor. That's certainly true for me. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I would love to talk more to you, but hate us. So,
she doesn't hate that.
Thanks so much for your time. It's really been a pleasure, and I am looking forward to playing your game. I think everybody should. It's quite fun.
Great.
Thank you so much. Really
And good luck
appreciate that.
with the release.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks to you too.
Thank you.